Who are we talking to?
Ourselves. Welcome back to the Mc&Marren podcast, or if this is your first time joining us, welcome to the Mc&Marren podcast, a family-friendly podcast where we talk about all things nerdy, geeky, fandom, and the like. Today, we are continuing our segment of Oh, the Horror, focusing on Frankenstein. Or more specifically, Frankenstein's monster.
Or more specifically, Adam Frankenstein.
Written by Mary Shelley in 1818 when she was only 18 years old. How many times can I say 18 in a single sentence?
Yes. She wrote the story telling of a young scientist named Victor Frankenstein who creates a sentient creature from different body parts. Essentially, she creates a new human made from dead body parts. However, the more popular iteration of the character was from the 1931 film adaptation starring Boris Karloff as the monster. Now, there are several differences between the film and the original novel. For example, in the original novel, the monster is actually very eloquent. He is well-spoken. He is educated. Whereas in the film, Boris Karloff plays him as a giant lumbering monster who doesn't speak.
Both have their own.
There are merits to both versions of Frankenstein.
Yes. And there's also no, it's alive, it's alive, it's alive. There's no that in the book.
Also, to be fair.
That is an acting choice, and it was the right acting choice.
Also, to be fair, the monster is not eloquent right off the bat in the novel. It doesn't know how to speak yet, so it lives underneath someone else's house. And
cognitive processing is a little bit delayed.
but eventually he learns
we don't know
speak.
how long the brain was outside a body, so we can assume that that's going to take a minute.
There are also the way that the way that the young scientist Frankenstein makes the monster come alive is very ambiguous in the book, whereas in the movie he is brought to life by lightning.
Which might be... They probably got that idea from the book, because in the book, Frankenstein, the doctor, or not, the scientist, is at school until he sees lightning strike a tree, and realizing how little control he has in life causes him to drop out. And seek out.
Yes, Colin is very adamant that we should not call Victor Frankenstein doctor because he did not finish school.
And
However, in defense of this morally ambiguous man, I will say this. Prior to the early 1900s, did you know what you had to do to be called a doctor of chemistry?
Recite all known elements at the time.
Yeah, that's it. That they would literally give anyone a doctorate of chemistry. Literal. I mean, if it was that easy, why wasn't everyone a doctor? Quite frankly. So, he's not a doctor in the traditional sense, but he had an education. He started med school. He just dropped out.
Yes. I mean, obviously he's smart enough to piece together a bunch of corpses.
Well, that's just sewing.
But he's not smart enough to realize that, hey, maybe if I treat people well, they won't want to kill me and the people I love.
Side note, that is not me putting down sewing. Sewing is actually a hobby of mine. I really much enjoy sewing. I'm just saying that that's basically a puzzle with some extra steps.
I'd like to see you put together a dead body. Anyway. So the point of Oh, the Horror is talking about a classic movie monster, in this case Frankenstein, or Frankenstein's monster, because Colin is probably going to point that out at some point, and talk about family-friendly iterations of the character that we really enjoy. So, for me, I just have to start off. For me, and I can't believe I didn't really think about this when we were doing Dracula last time, but because it was such a big influence in my childhood, Bud Abbott and Lou Costello, the famous comedians from the 20s and 30s, did a movie called Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein, in which in the same film they also meet the Wolfman and Count Dracula, in 1948, where Count Dracula must find a brain to reactivate Frankenstein's monster, and they find that Wilbur Gray, who's Lou Costello in the film, is the ideal candidate. So Abbott and Costello must find their way out of Dracula's castle and fight off the monsters while trying to stay alive. I cannot believe I totally forgot about that when we were doing Dracula, because Abbott and Costello was a huge part of my childhood. But it kind of fits because it actually says meet Frankenstein, so it fits.
I would say my favorite iteration of Frankenstein in popular film and TV is actually Herman Munster from the Munsters.
Okay.
It's referenced a lot that he is a Frankenstein monster, but he's a Munster, not a monster. It's just a fun character. It's friendly, happy, wholesome television. My favorite movie adaptation, though, is the Frankenstein from blank movie. Hugh Jackman.
Van Helsing.
Van Helsing. Thank you. I'm like, movie. Hugh Jackman. Vampires.
Yeah.
What is this movie?
Oddly enough, a lot of movies that don't... There's not really a lot of movies that focus on Frankenstein itself, like Frankenstein the monster. Frankenstein does make a lot of appearance with other monster movies. So, like, he makes...
Hotel Transylvania,
Van Helsing.
Monster Family.
Yep. Monster Squad. So he makes appearances with all the other Universal classic movie monsters. Yep. Well, speaking of Scooby-Doo, he has an appearance of Frankenstein and Scooby-Doo and the Ghoul School.
Frankenstein is his daughter.
She also calls him by Papa Frankenstein.
Yeah, because they couldn't get the copyright infringement. Okay, copyright infringement.
Mm-hmm.
Other great.
Go ahead.
Other great versions of Frankenstein include, this is more like stories based around the Frankenstein story. So, like, Frankenweenie is a very good story. I highly recommend it if you haven't seen it.
Which version?
Oh, you gotta watch the animated version. It's the best.
I mean, one could argue you gotta watch all the versions, but... Because, fun fact, Frankenweenie actually started out as a live action, then got animated.
Yeah, it was a live action short film.
You don't see that very often.
Animated remake. It's a thing. It
happens. Actually works sometimes.
It actually works quite often.
To be fair, it was done by the same guy who directed the original, so...
Semantics.
And he definitely went full in on using his style.
Oh, yeah.
And it works spectacularly. Another interesting take on the Frankenstein story is Igor.
Okay.
Kind of take Frankenstein, add in a bit of Annie and a bunch of other stuff.
Now, I think...
Put it in a blender and then...
There are parts of the movie that could be considered not entirely 100% family friendly, but I think you cannot talk about the sheer icon of the Frankenstein story without reference. I mean, Boris Karloff is the best, but young Frankenstein.
Yes.
I mean, let's not only make this a comedy.
Werewolf.
Let's not just make this a comedy. Let's make this a comedy with Gene Wilder
playing Dr. Frankenstein.
And a tap dancing Frankenstein.
Putting on the Ritz.
Yeah, a tap dancing Frankenstein. It's just the idea had to. You kind of want to know what it was like being at that table read.
I mean,
he's like, okay, we need ideas for movies. Come on.
Tap dancing Frankenstein.
I mean, it was done by the parody master himself, Mel Brooks.
Yes, this is true, and it probably would not have been as great if it had been done by somebody else.
Yep. Oh, and just for the record, Peter Boyle portrayed the monster. And also, they actually made that into a Broadway musical.
Yeah. And now, and it's come full circle recently. Maggie Gyllenhaal recently had her directorial movie with The Bride, which is a take on The Bride of Frankenstein.
But we have to say is not family friendly.
Do not take your kids to see that. That is adult movie only.
It is R-rated for a reason.
Do not take your kids to see it. But Maggie Gyllenhaal did take time to putting on the Ritz.
Yes, as a tribute to Young Frankenstein.
Yes, she purposely made that a conscious decision. So that is a wonderful take of a director adding their own flair to a story and it becoming so beloved by everybody that it now is just part of the lore.
Yeah.
Also, on the Bride of Frankenstein character, that's actually from the idea comes from the book. Mm-hmm. Because in the book, the creature, who started to go by Adam, because gotta pick a name somehow, returns to Frankenstein and reveals that he killed one of his friends because he was angry at Victor, for obvious reasons, and says that he just wants companionship and then he'll leave forever. Mm. And so Victor has to redo the entire experiment and make a bride. He gets cold feet and decides not to make it, and then Adam did not like that and starts killing all of his friends and family. And then Victor runs off to the frozen north because...
Take off to the great white north.
Because that's where the monster goes.
Well, no, he's... either he's chasing after the monster or he's running away from the monster. Either way, the book ends with Victor dying after finishing telling his life story.
Spoiler alert!
Oh, kind of going back to what Colin said earlier, the story of the Frankenstein's monster is, and we also talked about Tim Burton, because he did Frankenweenie, both versions. He also did another modern adaptation of Frankenstein in the 1990 film, Edward Scissorhands.
Which is very easy to forget that is a Frankenstein story. Because...
A Frankenstory.
It's a Franken story. Because you're so focused on A, that's Johnny Depp. B, that's Johnny Depp. C, that's Winona Ryder and Johnny Depp.
And D, he has
scissor hands.
Yes.
There's a lot of fact things you think about before you even get to the fact that this is a Frankenstein story.
Yeah, and it's also starring Vincent Price.
That too.
It was actually his last film. It was actually said that Tim Burton said that while filming, Vincent Price Alzheimer's got so bad that they actually can only do films when he was fully lucid.
That makes me sad.
But
R.I.P. Vincent Price.
But also, kind of going off of that idea, you can also make the argument that because, Frankenstein, the story of Frankenstein is essentially taking a bunch of different parts from different bodies or different things and making a whole new creature out of it. You can make the argument that the Jurassic Park franchise is essentially a modern-day telling of Frankenstein, especially for Jurassic World with the Indominus Rex.
It might be stretching the
That's
metaphor
stretching
a bit.
it a little.
But I mean,
I get where you're going.
Isn't genetic engineering though the next step of what Frankenstein actually did?
Yes and no.
Kind of.
Okay.
Yes and no. Yes, because by our understanding of science today, it would be the natural progression of the next step. I mean, we're already even seeing, I work in clinical research, and we're seeing gene therapy trials all the time.
And just recently, we've seen the de-extinction of the direwolf, which, to be honest, it's not the actual direwolf. It's just direwolf DNA put in a domestic dog. But anyway.
But if you look at it in the context of when the story was written, how the story was written, in the time period, 1818, I don't even think anything was known about genetics in that time period, except, blonde-haired person and blonde-haired person are going to have a blonde-haired baby. If blonde-haired person and blonde-haired person have a dark-headed baby, someone's got some explaining to do. Or-
in regards to his statement on Jurassic Park and that being a Frankenstein in a metaphorical way, it does kind of work, especially because the big problem with Frankenstein, the scientist, is that he creates life with no regard for what's going to happen. He has no, because once it's done, once it's made, he doesn't really care.
Yeah.
It's not his problem. He just wants to forget about it. It's gross. It's ugly. Ugh, throw it in the garbage. The problem is science without care.
Yep.
Leads
Not to sound like the guy. Not to sound like Ian Malcolm, but you were so busy focused on if you could, you didn't think about if you should.
Yeah. I mean, Dr. Henry Wu goes full Frankenstein in the Jurassic World series.
Okay, side tangent. Oh my lord, when the Jurassic World movies came out. Okay, so growing up as a kid, I really liked Dr. Henry Wu when we first meet him in Jurassic Park because I'm like, a scientist who's a nice guy and is like on groundbreaking technology and he's doing all this wonderful stuff and he's not a villain.
And then he is a villain.
I was in the words of Tyra Banks, I was rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. Oh my, so mad. I am still mad about that because do you know how hard it is to find a movie with an amazing scientific breakthrough where the scientist is not a villain? Do you know how hard that is? Scientists are not all villains. We're not.
Frankenweenie, great example of that because
yes!
everyone treats the science teacher as a villain just because he's eccentric and he's loud, but he's actually a caring person.
Yes, we're just a little kooky.
I think he said that, like, everyone likes the results science gives them. They just don't like how to get there.
I'm so disappointed in him. I was so disappointed in him. It didn't ruin the whole franchise for me, but I feel like part of my childhood was taken away. Is that what you wanted, Jurassic Park? Is that what you wanted?
Also, let's just be honest, the real reason we have conflict in these movies is because everyone takes shortcuts.
This is also true.
If they went the long way around, if they did what they were supposed to do, there wouldn't have been any problems. But then there wouldn't be any story. So,
as a zookeeper, I have several problems with how they run Jurassic Park, but that'll be a whole other episode.
We're probably gonna have. You know what? We're gonna have to do once we finish
Jurassic Park through the lens of a zookeeper.
Jurassic Park through an outsider's lens. Zookeeper, scientist, college.
Fan of dinosaurs.
But also with that in mind, after we're done with the What is Disney Doing Wrong series, let's just start doing what did Jurassic Park do wrong series.
Last thing before we swing back to
Frankenstein.
Frankenstein is just the one thing that always got on my nerves for the last few movies from Jurassic World is the statement they keep making of dinosaurs are so boring. I'm sorry, the reason everyone is in this movie theater watching your movie is because dinosaurs are cool.
Dinosaurs.
So, stop saying that.
Yes.
I still maintain the viewpoint that the Indominus Rex and the Indominus Raptor are essentially modern Frankenstein monsters.
I think they're modern demons, but same diff, same words.
I mean, look at the Indominus Rex. She was made by different genetic components of different animals and different dinosaurs. Same thing with the Indominus Raptor.
To create
Such
the perfect
bad concept.
Killing machine.
The perfect predator. Whereas Adam was created to be the perfect man. However, the result is uncanny because while all the individual pieces are perfect together, they don't look like they should fit because they don't.
They're flawed.
I always thought that the scientist, wanted to essentially spit in the eye of God and basically like, I can create life.
That too. It was really just a, hey, look, I don't need a doctorate. I can do
A doctor with a God complex.
Yeah. So yeah, going back to Frankenstein. We mentioned in the Dracula episode that a lot of the various Universal movie monsters have also made different appearances in other realms of media, and Frankenstein is no exception. He is not necessarily a major player, but he is a pretty good player in the DC Comics universe. His first appearance was in 1948 in Detective Comics number 135, written by Edmund Hamilton and Bob Kane. He has appeared in several stories since then, but his most modern version first appeared in Grant Morrison's Seven Soldiers of Victory, which I haven't read. And then when the New 52 started, he actually had his own book called Frankenstein, Agent of Shade. Shade is essentially a parody of S.H.I.E.L.D. in the DC universe.
I know, that's why my face went, wait, what?
And I'm not kidding, that is real. And his team is his bride, who has 4 arms, the Nina Minersky, who is essentially the creature from the Black Lagoon, just in female form, a mummy called Callus, and Father Time, who is an immortal but stuck in the body of a Japanese teen girl in a schoolgirl uniform and a domino mask.
This seems very weird.
Frankenstein in the DC universe in a nutshell, ladies and gentlemen.
Did Marvel do a Frankenstein?
I'm still on DC Comics because there's another version of it. There's actually a teen version of Frankenstein called Young Frankenstein, who was a member of the Teen Titans for a little bit. Unfortunately, he died.
I really want to know how he and Cyborg got along.
Unfortunately, he died during the World War III event when Black Adam ripped his arms off.
You do.
However, he was revived and became an agent of the Terror Titans during the Final Crisis event. And then after he was done with his brainwashing, he was again offered a spot on the Teen Titans, which he rejected. So now young Frankenstein is wandering off in the DC universe doing whatever he wants. But to answer your question, Colin, yes, Marvel did do their own version of Frankenstein, but it's not as major as the DC version. The only major appearance that Frankenstein did was during the Elsa Bloodstone miniseries, which, for those MCU fans, Elsa Bloodstone made an appearance in the Werewolf by Night Marvel MCU special presentation on Disney+. However...
but wait, there's more!
There is more. So DC Comics, before the New 52 merged all their imprints together to form just the DC universe, they had their other imprints. One of them was called Vertigo. Vertigo was printing more mature stories. They actually produced the Sandman books before the merger, stuff like that. One of their major series that I really love is a series called Fables, which, for those of you who don't know, which essentially all your favorite fairy tale characters were banished out of their original homelands by an enemy called the Adversary and now reside in New York City. And in the Fables series, Frankenstein actually exists. He was revived by the Nazis during World War II to help fight against the Allies. However, the big bad wolf named Bigby was sent out to find him and defeat him, and then Frankenstein's still reanimated head still remains in the city hall's office.
We really need to get video working on this because you are missing out on Tori's face right now.
I'm sorry. What?
Comic books are weird.
Comic books are...
I'm stuck on the big bad wolf being named Bigby.
Bigby. Weirdly enough, the head in the jar is the most rational thing you've said.
No, it's a head in a bird cage, and it still talks. And a flying monkey named Boofkin also gives...
I'm sorry, now there's how many other stories are... This is like Marvel's version of Into the Woods. What's next? Is there a scarecrow?
It's DC.
I'm sorry, DC. What's next? A scare? Oh gosh, there is a scarecrow in DC.
No, different scarecrow.
It's different scarecrow, but yes.
What's next? The Cowardly Lion?
Yes.
I quit.
Oh, and fun fact.
I give up.
And fun fact: Snow White is the mayor's assistant in Fables.
Of course she is.
Dare I ask, who is the mayor?
King Cole.
Okay. And why is Snow White the secretary?
Mm.
I mean, okay.
Because she can be taken out by a fruit.
I mean, she got bills to pay, probably. At least 7 mouths to feed.
Oh, the dwarves are dead in the Fables universe.
What? Why are the dwarves dead?
Okay.
Moving on.
Moving back to Frankenstein, where things make sense.
We have lost the plot. Although, one last point. So,
moving back to Frankenstein, where things make sense.
There was a comic book company called Dell Comics, where they
computers?
Yes. They also did a version of Frankenstein as well as Dracula and the Wolfman, where they became superheroes. So
I think I heard of that.
So in the story, the Dell Comics version of Frankenstein, after being awakened by the lightning bolt by Victor, he dons a lifelike rubber mask and dons the name Frank Stone. Don't know why. It just does. And he befriends an elderly millionaire named Henry Knickerbocker. Yes, that is an actual name. And after saving his life from a traffic accident.
The look of no, it's not.
No, I now in my head I have the Hey Mr. Knickerbocker song from Barney stuck in my head. You want to talk about a flashback to your past?
Also, just want to squeeze it. His name is
Frank Stone.
Frank Stone. Okay. The funny part of that is that in that case, Victor Stone, that's Cyborg.
Yep. Well, this has no way related to the character, and then after Knickerbocker dies, Frank is left his vast fortune, which allows him to devote his life to becoming a scarlet-suited superhero.
Named?
Frankenstein. And yes, that is a real thing. They also did a little bit of a version of that for the werewolf and Count Dracula, too.
Okay. Real talk for a second. Frankenstein. Okay, he's very buff. I'll give you, he can be a superhero. Dracula. Supernatural powers? Sure. Superhero all the way, if you want to. Werewolf? I'm sorry. He turns into a wolf once a month for a singular night. That is not enough time to get some actual superhero work done. So unless he's suddenly able to transform whenever, maybe he just has a day job.
I don't know. I didn't write the book. I just was doing research for this podcast, and it popped up. Also, this has nothing to do with comics, but in the Hanna-Barbera TV show called Wacky Racers, the Twosome Gruesome, the older one is actually based off the monster also.
Also, I'm pretty sure Frankenstein makes a appearance in the race in Scooby-Doo and the Reluctant Werewolf.
I mean, you said he's a classic movie monster, and he was one of the racers, so...
This is what happens when characters enter the public domain.
Yep. So, we also mentioned it before, but Frankenstein is also... not a major player, but he's a minor player. He's a secondary character in the Hotel Transylvania series.
Yes, he is. Uncle Frank.
Yep, he is Count Dracula's best friend.
One of them. He's got 4.
Yep, he's got Frankenstein, he's got the Mummy, he's got the Wolfman, and the Invisible Man.
5.
And then later on, Blobby.
Thank you.
Oh, there is one anime version of Frankenstein that I know of.
If it's the version you're thinking of, I am definitely afraid.
Soul Eater?
Oh no, that's not another one I was going on.
So
Okay.
in Soul Eater, is more for like teens, so don't show it to young kids.
Mm-hmm.
But in Soul Eater, there's basically this school, think like Hogwarts, but for hunting down like demons.
Okay.
And one of the teachers is Dr. Frankenstein. And he is a combination of both the creature and Victor. In that...
Is this kind of a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde scenario?
No.
Mm-hmm.
But like he does experiments on others, including on himself. He's covered in stitches where he's stitched on...
That's a highly unethical practice, but okay.
And he has a giant screw in his head that he turns when he gets bored.
Why?
Because style. I don't know why.
Okay.
I feel like, because Colin mentioned for teens, we have to mention this like we did in our last episode with Oh the Horror. A lot of this stuff is made for an older audience. There are some iterations of the character of Frankenstein that is family friendly, but a lot of it is not. So parents, really keep in mind of what movies are rated before you show them to your kids.
But the Munsters is for everybody.
Munsters are for everyone. Scooby-Doo's for everyone. Tim Burton is for people that like his style. But, Soul Eater is more for teens. Frankenstein is more for teens of an older audience. So just really keep that in mind when you're looking at family-friendly versions of these classic movie monsters to watch with your kids.
You do not want to be the parent who took your child in to see Deadpool thinking it was a superhero family-friendly
Movie.
movie.
Yes.
No.
Yeah. And
It was none of those things. It was a movie.
It was a love story.
And all love stories start with a vicious murder.
Unfortunately, unlike Dracula, there's not really that many family-friendly versions of the Frankenstein's monster.
The Munsters. Go watch it.
Besides the monsters and besides the other ones we mentioned, because how Frankenstein was created, the ultimate themes of the story, and all that other stuff, it is a lot more for mature audiences, or you need a little bit more understanding of the source material and understanding of the topics to kind of understand the story. So while the image of Frankenstein, the monster at least, is in the public domain and has been used for various things, like, for example, I actually just remembered this watching a video. Frankenstein's monster actually does make an appearance in an Apple Christmas commercial.
Really?
Yes. So in the commercial, it's talking about it's showing the latest version of the iPhone. I think it came out like in 2011 or 2012. And this guy orders the new version of the iPhone. He's downloading some music, and it turns out it's a Frankenstein's monster. Okay. He goes to the town square, puts 2 Christmas lights on his bolts in his neck. They light up, and he starts saying, "I want to be home for the holidays," to a crowd of people. However, then one of his light bulb goes out. Everyone kind of looks at him with disgust until a little girl fixes his bulb, and they all start singing. So
I have a vague recollection of this commercial.
So while Frankenstein can be used for some family-friendly stuff, a lot of it, especially like the most recent Guillermo del Toro movie that just came out on Netflix, The Bride, like Tori mentioned. Also, isn't it Victor Frankenstein, the one that stars James McAvoy and
Daniel Radcliffe.
Daniel Radcliffe?
Yes.
That is also more for an adult/teen audience. So a lot of it is more for an adult audience, so really keep that in mind. But also, Tori, why don't you talk about the Victor Frankenstein movie for a minute?
Okay. So it basically, it covers more of what's going on before the monster. So it also explains how Victor Frankenstein, acquires Igor. The story focuses more on Igor than it does on Frankenstein or the monster. Igor is played by Daniel Radcliffe. You find out he's actually not a hunchback. He's a circus performer.
He has a giant abscess on his back.
Frankenstein was snooping around the circus to try to acquire some animal parts for his experimentation. Does anyone remember what he named the monkey?
I forget.
It's been a while.
Well, we find out that before he did it with a human, he experimented on a monkey, which he gave a name, but the name escapes me. However, I will say that of all the versions of the Frankenstein's monster story and why this one actually has probably the best rationale for why he created, quote unquote, the monster. You find out that Victor Frankenstein is not the firstborn son of his family. He had an older brother, and his older brother died tragically, saving Victor's life. And so Victor is doing everything he can to bring his brother back. And as an older sibling, or as a sibling in general, that really does resonate with people. So I will say that one probably has the best excuse for making a monster. It still doesn't end great.
No.
But hey, Igor gets the girl.
And wasn't this a Guy Ritchie film? Or was it by the same people that did the Sherlock Holmes movies?
I do not remember. I'll look it up.
Okay. Actually, though, that does remind me of Sorry, interrupt, Colin. Go ahead.
Just for those who are listening, who are wondering if any movie we've mentioned is okay for your kids or whatnot, you can... there is a nifty little website called commonsensemedia.org where you can look up whatever movie you want to watch, and it has age ratings like 12 and up, and it has content warnings such as foul language or any other stuff you might not want your kids to see. So
no, it was Victor Frankenstein was directed by Paul McGuigan, and written by Max Landis. It was released in 2015. It is a mix of period drama, steampunk, gothic horror, and sci-fi. However, generally negative reviews and considered a box office failure. I remember going and seeing this movie when it came out. We went and saw it.
Yeah.
And if I remember correctly, I don't remember what else. I'm going to look this up real quick. What else came out around the same time? There was another movie that came out like within the same week or two of Victor Frankenstein that just ate the box office. It was the only thing anyone was going to see. So I'm going to go look that up real quick.
Going back to what Tori was saying, that the reason why Victor and Victor Frankenstein wanted to create the monster, that reminded me of in the TV show Once Upon a Time. I don't know if either of you have watched that series, but in Once Upon a Time, there is the doctor called Dr. Whale. It is actually revealed that Dr. Whale in the storybook land, for those of you who never saw Once Upon a Time, is essentially what I described in Fables, just in TV show, where all your favorite fairy tale characters have been banished to the real world with no memory of their past lives, and the main character named Emma Swan, I think her name is, Emma Swan, is brought into Storybrooke to bring back the memories of the characters and fight against the evil queen, who is the mayor of the town.
Okay, going back to Victor Frankenstein that came out in 2015. So the week before Victor Frankenstein, the movies that came out the week before were Trumbo with Bryan Cranston, Spotlight, never saw that one, Brooklyn with Saoirse Ronan, and The Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 2.
So
yeah,
that week was a bust. And then the same week, the movies that came out the same week were The Good Dinosaur, so there goes all your family money for the week, and Creed, the Rocky spinoff.
Yeah.
So I think, was it a bad story? No. Did it suffer from bad release timing? Yes.
Yes. Anyway, in Once Upon a Time, though, the character Dr. Whale, who is the head of surgery in the Storybrooke Hospital, it is revealed that it is Dr. Victor Frankenstein, who created his monster after his older brother was killed in a war and essentially used his brother's body to reanimate him in order to make him come alive again. Along with the help of Rumpelstiltskin by giving him a heart, a magical heart that made the monster come alive. Because magic. Why not? Alright. Anybody else have anything about a family-friendly version of Frankenstein they want to talk about?
No, I'm good. Colin?
No, I think we covered.
All right. Well, then, that wraps it up. Join us next time when we will be returning to our series of What is Disney Doing Wrong? Epcot Edition.
The fourth and final park.
Come fly with me. Let's go to Epcot far away. All right.
All
Bye.
right, bye.